live. What's up, everybody? I'm your boy Sincere here at the Standard 81 podcast, and we're here to talk to you today about all are welcome, but not everyone is included. Please go ahead as you are seeing this. Whenever you're seeing this, hit that like, subscribe, and if you fail to share this, please share it. I hope that it's informative and it brings a lot of information. Um, a few disclaimers before we get started. I am bringing this 100% from a Christian perspective. Um, so if this is not for you, it's not for you. These are my opinions based on the reality of the life that I'm living and how I tend to view things. So without any further ado, we're gonna get this started. Just give me a second to split my screen here, and I'm gonna pull it up on my TV here so that I can see it. So once again, the title of this podcast is "All Are Welcome but Not Included." So uh, this is how I want to start this thing off. Just I'm saying this, just like in life, there are many things that everyone can't do or be a part of. Let me say this. Um, there used to be a time in this great nation and in this great country where there were standards for everything. And in order to be included in those different things, you had to follow the rules and regulations of that particular um, institution you wanted to be a part of, group, whatever the case may be. But nowadays, it seems as though everybody wants to be included in everything and inclusive, and just because you're welcome somewhere doesn't necessarily mean you're included in the group or included in the institution or included in that particular environment. Most people nowadays are very welcoming towards people, and it's important for us to know the difference between what inclusion is and what being welcoming is. You can be welcoming without saying you necessarily need to be included. Um, for example, let's just think about elite institutions, right? Elite institutions say you're welcome to explore our campus, you're welcome to explore our website, you're welcome to sign up and do everything that you need to do in order to qualify to be a part of this elite institution. But just because you do all those things, the outcome is not necessarily you will be included in those things. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you? And because a lot of times in our natural lives, we feel like we should be included in everything, and we shouldn't be excluded because of how it makes us feel. It makes us feel like we're not good enough, or we're not or we don't fit in. That's not necessarily the case. It just because you don't fit into that particular thing, or you don't fit into that particular segment or that particular group, doesn't mean that all of a sudden everything about you or who you are is evil or bad. But it does mean you can't be involved in that. And from a biblical standpoint, we're as a Christian who lives his life according to biblical standards, which is mainly how I'm going to concentrate today. Um, in order to be a part of us, part of what we call Christianity, there are certain criterias. And if you don't meet those criterias, or you're not acting in the way of this particular criteria, you're not a part of us. You're not involved with us. So let me go ahead into the next point here. And forgive me if I'm sniffling a little bit because my allergies are pretty bad right now. But defining words, all right. Once again, I'm gonna split that screen so I can bring up my next point. All right. So defining words. Um, the two words that need to be defined today are welcome and then included. All right. So I'm gonna look up here at my television screen, and the word welcome means to greet hospitably, with courtesy or cordially, to accept with pleasure and with occurrence in the presence of someone, to greet a guest or a newcomer upon arrival, or to receive with gladness, especially in response to something that is needed. The willingness to be permitted or at, or accepted, a greeting or reception upon arrival. That's the word welcome. So for the most part, you can see that, hey, listen, you are permitted to do something. You can be admitted to something, but doesn't necessarily mean you're a part of it yet. This is a way of saying, okay, look, you have the opportunity to be able to do this or do that or do this. The outcome may be you can't be a part of. The outcome may be that you are not included. Uh, if you played sports, right, before, let's think about this. If you played sports before, football, basketball, any type of sport, everybody is welcome to try out. Whether you're in great shape, whether you're an athlete or not, everybody is welcome to try out, right? But at the end of the day, cuts are made, and several cuts are made. It goes all the way down to the final cuts. And at the end, only a few make it on the team. We don't call that unfair or unjust. We call that meeting the criteria and the standard. And I don't see how it is that in this day and age, just because you're welcome to do something, all of a sudden you feel entitled to have the outcome that everybody else has worked for. And maybe you did put in as much work as they have, but maybe you're just not the one they want. Maybe they don't see it in you, or just maybe they fulfilled their quota. You just don't know. And if we look back last week, and I'm gonna apply this to everybody. I said everybody can't be a king, and I specifically said this about men, but let's talk about women too. We can't all be kings and queens, all right? We can't. Just like we can't, just like we can't all be millionaires, billionaires, or anything else. And I'm gonna say this one more time: the famous quote from that Disney movie, The Incredibles. If we're all super, then nobody is super. If everybody is included, it doesn't make it prestigious. It doesn't make it something exclusive. It doesn't make it something you have to strive to look towards. It just makes it normal. If everybody is included, it just makes it normal, right? So let's move on to the second word, included, right? The word here means to take in or be comprised of a whole group or an entity, to contain within two sides or to be enclosed. Now, with this particular word, we are talking now bringing it together. That word enclosed means now you're in in the group. You're intertwined. You're bringing two parts together. So let's go back to the example of the school. You do all the stuff that's required, right? And you finally get that letter that says, "Hey, you've been accepted. Welcome to the campus." But then there are more requirements. Now you're welcome to the campus, but now you got to fulfill the quota of making the grades and performing well. So see, even once you're included, you've got to continue to meet the criteria. Just because you get there and you're welcome in the door doesn't mean you get to stay there. And this is the thing we need to get to in this modern age. We need to, everybody can't be included in everything. This is not about being unfair or unrealistic or trying to vilify anybody. This is about telling the truth behind the reality of it all. If you can include everybody in every single thing, it no longer becomes a part of what it is. Like, if you take away certain liberties from certain groups of people, now all of a sudden it's not that anymore. Or if you take away ethnicity and start mixing into, it's not that anymore. All of a sudden, because you included everything, it's not that anymore. And that's the blatant truth. So let's get into the meat. Now that we got that out of the way, you define the words. Let's get this other part out of the way, right? Once again, are you in or nah? All right. There's the next one. Are you in or nah? Are you in or nah? All right. So here we go. And here's what I got here. I'm saying if you're going to say you're a part of something or you're a part of us, a community, a people, a belief system, we have the right to call you to the table or call you on the table. For example, I'm a Christian, right? If you claim to follow Christianity and you claim to do and be a part of what what we call Bible believing Christians, you have to follow the Bible. That is a part of the criteria. And you can't sit there and pick and choose the parts you want or the parts you like. You got to follow the whole thing. Now, you may not understand it all and you may not comprehend it all at once, but that's neither here or there. Part of the criteria, part of the standard of being in our belief system or being a Christian, it means you follow the rules and regulations that are laid out in the scriptures. Or else we get the chance to say, look, you're not really doing what we here call Christianity. So you're not a part. You just not a part of us. We got the opportunity to say, look, what your actions and how you're doing things do not reflect who we are as a group. And that would go the same for any other organization, right? It seems as though in this world of ours, we allow those kind of standards and and um, values for certain groups, but for others, we say you need to be all inclusive for everybody. No, we don't. We do not. If one group has a set of values and standards and says they want things done a particular way, they want things done in such a way, then all the other groups get the chance to do it too. And that's the way it works. That's the way it always does work. Because, see, at the end of the day, there's only two sides. There's your side, and there's God's side. Your side, God's side. Your side, God's side. And you pick. You either going to be independent for yourself, which is going to lead you down a slippery slope into hell, or you're going to be on God's side. And God has rules, He has standards, He has regulations, He has things that He wants you to follow. And when you're not following, the rest of the people that are in the group have the right to say, you ain't doing it right. and it's not evil. It's not being, it's not being uh, hateful or spiteful or vengeful or anything like that. It's saying, look, in order to be a part of us, in order to be within the group, you've got to do it this way. And the problem is, here's what I see a clear problem is. People don't like accountability anymore. People don't, people like to say, oh, it was a mistake. It's it's something that happened, and that's fine to a certain degree. But then to another degree, those become choices, because a mistake should only happen maybe once or twice. But then after that, they're choices, and choices have consequences, and those consequences a lot of times will disassociate you from a group or organization or anything else you might be involved in because you make those particular choices. We gotta be realistic nowadays. You gotta say, hey, listen, I'm making a particular choice to do a particular thing or live a particular way, and I'm going to accept the consequences behind those choices. Point blank, period. If you're not, then you're doing it wrong. And you gotta be willing to say, look, when somebody calls you on that, you got to be willing to say, look, I messed up. I need to get it right. And you need to get it right. You need to be able to fix it and and look back at where you fell off and get back on track. Too many of us want to pass for the things that we've done, and it's really not that. We want to keep on coming back and saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. At some point, it's not sorry anymore. It's just you doing it. Can we be real? It's just you doing it, right? So my point in this is, if you're gonna be a part of this, a part of our community as believers, as faith-based people, you got a choice to make. You either you you either gonna be with us or not. And if you decide you're gonna be with us, just know that we're going to hold you accountable for what you do, what you say, and how you display yourself out here in this world, because it reflects all of us. Poor decisions and all, good good decisions, bad decisions, poor decisions, right decisions, it all affects us. Just like in every other community, just like in every other group, just like in every other organization. Before I move on to my next point, think about the last time you were in a position of power, right? Or you were a leader of something, and then your cohorts decide to do something outside of the box and not in a good way. How did it make you feel? How did it make you? How did it make that group look? How did it make that organization look? And what was the reaction to that? Not only did they get called out, half of the time they either get dismissed or let go of. Should this be any different? I don't think so. So let's move on to the next point. All right. So who do you serve? This brings this in two more of the Christian part of the whole cast. Who do you serve? Right? Jeez. And I'm sorry, man. It's right now. It's just things are just going crazy. Let me pull that up. Who do you serve? I'm trying to split my screen. I'm sorry, y'all. This thing is sometimes things act crazy. All right, so I'm gonna just read it from here. Who do you serve? Keep my God's name out of your mouth. All right, that's the point. I am so sick of people claiming that they're with us, they're for us, uh, they they're a part of our group, being Christians, and doing everything in the complete opposite. Here's something I heard a pastor say: any acronym that or any word that you put in front of the word Christian is what you're leading with. So if you say I'm this type of Christian, homosexual, gay Christian, uh, black Christian, um, whatever, think of anything that you can put in front of the word Christian. That means that's what you're representing first. And you can't, and I believe that this doesn't give you a right to use the name of God or use the name of Christ in a way that, once again, excuse me, I have allergies very bad. The way the name of Christ, the way that you do, you have no right to do it like that, because what you begin to do is not only demean the group, you begin to make the rest, the most important part of the group, who is the Father up above, you begin to make him look bad. You begin to make him look as though he don't know what he doing, like he crazy out of his mind. When the reality of it is, you just out of your mind. You doing it bad. You doing it wrong. You doing it backwards. It's not him. You just don't want to follow the script. You don't want to follow the plan. You don't you don't want the accountability. You don't want the responsibility of having to do it the way that it's been laid out. You want to do it your way. Well, let me tell you something. This ain't Burger King, and if you're going to do it the way that we are, that it's all been set up, you got to do it the way that it's been laid out. And it's been laid out very clearly, very plain. Let me show you something here. Let me grab this from my desk. If you claim to be a part of us, this is something you should read every day. This is my Bible, right? And there's an acronym for this. This is called it says the basic instructions before leaving Earth. Well, check this out. If you play for a team and you never read the rule book, how do you expect to win? How do you expect to conquer in the game? How do you expect to get anywhere? How do you expect to prosper? How do you expect to succeed if you never read the rules? If you never read the manual? Nobody promised that it was going to be easy to do any of this stuff. But the problem is, half of the time, we don't want to do it that way. We want to be able to claim something without having to do it the way it is. For example, we I've seen a lot of video clips on YouTube here as of late of taking valor for armed forces, right? Young kids throwing on um, uniforms of the Air Force and the armed forces or whatever, and people are calling them out, saying, "Hey, look, you know." They'll ask them some questions, referring to when they got in, where they were stationed, and all this good stuff, because these are things that, if you really serve, they know, and these kids don't know how to do it. So they're faking valor, and they're like, "Look, you can't take credit for that. You didn't do none of it." You don't even know what you're talking about. All you know is you got on this uniform and you look as though you were a part of something, only to find out you don't want to follow the rules. So now when you're held accountable and they start calling you out, you want to say, "Oh, why are you hating on me? Why are you doing this? Why are you?" Mm-mm. Either you're in it or you're not. I mean, how dare you sit there and claim something? You make the armed forces look bad. And anybody that would come to you and say that, "Oh, that's all right, it's okay," it's no, it's not. The same way I'm saying this is the same way we talking about the Godhead. And the only reason that we haven't been called out drastically is because our God is so patient. He is so kind. He is so loving. But if we look back in the Old Testament, he was about ready to kill everybody at the drop of a hat. And I'm not saying that he wouldn't do that because he realized that in doing that, it didn't make the situation better. And this is why he sent Jesus to die for our sins. And if we don't choose to accept Jesus for who he is and follow the things the way he said that they're supposed to be done, all of a sudden we can't sit there and be like, "Oh God, we call on you and we thank you," or we need your help or for something, and think that you're supposed to get an answer, or you're supposed to get some reply, or you're supposed to get help from that community. All right. So let's let's begin to start thinking about how we represent, how what is it that we're trying to accomplish here in life. And I'm touching a lot of these subjects with a broad brush because we're just getting into the podcasting and live streaming. But I promise you later on in the future we'll take a lot of these topics and um, include people's opinions and take calls and bring people in. But in these first few, I kind of want to just get my ideas out there so you kind of know where I'm coming from, what my perspective is on all this. And I'm hoping that it's helping you guys to build a standard for yourself and that you know what your position is, you know how you want to run, and know that there's consequences and choices to each and every one of your actions. So in conclusion, in conclusion, I want to say this. Though we are, though as a society and though as a group of people, we are very welcoming. We say, "Come as you are," and so does the Father. Come as you are. There's a change expected, and this doesn't mean that these change happens right away. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden uh, everything about you has to be different. But it does mean you need to be taking steps forward. It does mean you need to be progressing in the way that you do things throughout life. Because if you're not, then you're not really representing for us. You're not really a part of us. You're just an outsider. You it would be the same with anything else. It'd be like walking into a building. It'd be like walking into a federal building and saying that you're an employee there. You and people would look at you like you were stupid. They'd be like, "You're so what department do you work in? Who do you work for? What do you do?" "Well, I'm in the building." "Yeah, you have permission to come in the building. We admitted you in the building, but you say you work here? You can't tell us anything? You can't tell us what the job description is. You can't tell us how things work or where you work or anything like that. And you're like, no, I shouldn't have to because, you know, that's crazy. You hear how crazy that sounds? So, I'll say this, and we'll end it. At first, you're going to do something, count the cost. And then after that, accept that cost. Because that's the only way you're really going to accomplish anything in this life. Remember, just because you're welcome to something doesn't mean you're included. And having said that, I'm done. Peace and blessings to you guys. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe and share it if you are so inclined. And we'll keep on getting better and better for each and every podcast. We'll keep on bringing topics to you, and eventually we'll start bringing in guests and stuff like that to talk and expand on the conversation even more. But until next time, grace and peace. I'm out.